Every horror story tells you to fear the monster. Season 4 does something far more disturbing. It slowly reveals that the monsters were never the real nightmare, because by the end of this season, the people trapped inside this town have become far more dangerous than the creatures outside it. And once you notice that, you can never watch from the same way again. What everyone believed since the very first episode, everyone believed they understood the rules: stay inside after dark, trust the talismans, avoid the monsters, find the road home. That was supposed to be the entire game. Every clue, every bottle tree, every symbol, every tunnel, every strange voice seemed to point toward one destination: escape. But season 4 quietly revealed something almost nobody noticed. The town was never only testing whether people could survive, it was testing whether they could remain themselves. And once you realize that, every scene in season 4 starts telling a completely different story. Evidence 1: Jim was never the first victim. Most viewers remember Jim because of what happened to him, but the real tragedy started much earlier. Look closely at every decision he makes during season 4. He becomes more isolated, more frustrated, more obsessed with finding answers. Every new clue pulls him farther away from the people trying to help him. At first it feels normal. Anyone trapped in this place would act the same way. But then something strange happens. The town never forces Jim to make these choices, it simply gives him opportunities. One decision becomes another, one obsession becomes another, until the person making those choices is no longer the same man we met at the beginning of the series. That is why his story feels so tragic. Jim does not lose because the monsters are stronger, he loses because the town slowly changes the way he thinks. And suddenly, you begin to notice the same pattern everywhere. Evidence 2: Boyd is fighting the wrong enemy. Boyd believes his job is simple: protect the town, save as many people as possible, never give up. But season 4 quietly proves that Boyd is fighting the wrong battle. Every monster attacks his body, the town attacks his hope. Every impossible decision, every person he fails to save, every sacrifice he's forced to make removes another piece of the man he used to be. Notice something important: the monsters rarely celebrate when they kill someone instead. Smile when people lose hope. That is a completely different kind of horror, because hope is the only thing keeping this town alive. And the moment someone believes there is no future, the town no longer needs to destroy them. It has already won. Now compare Jim to Boyd. Different stories, different personalities, the exact same outcome. The monsters are not creating the horror, they are simply arriving after the damage has already been done. And that raises one terrifying question: if the monsters are not the true enemy, then what is? Evidence 3: the town was always one step ahead. The biggest clue in season 4 is not hidden inside a monster, it is hidden inside the people searching for answers. Look at Tabitha. Every discovery she makes feels like progress. The bottle trees, the visions, the voices, every clue convinces her she's getting closer to escaping. But ask yourself one question: why does every answer create an even bigger mystery? That is not how an escape plan works, that is how a trap works. The town never hides the truth, it carefully controls how much of the truth people are allowed to see. Now look at Victor. He has survived longer than almost anyone, not because he is the strongest, not because he is the smartest, because he understands something nobody else does. The town remembers, people die, new people arrive, the faces change, the names change, but the pattern never changes. Victor has watched the same story happen over and over again. Every generation believes they are different, every generation believes they will finally escape, every generation fails. That is why Victor protects memories instead of chasing answers. Deep down, he already knows the town has seen all of this before. And if Victor is right, then everyone else is playing a game whose ending has already been written. The dark truth: now everything finally makes sense. Jim, Boyd, Tabitha, Victor, none of them were simply trying to survive. Season 4 quietly revealed something much darker. The town was never just trapping people, it was changing them. That is why the monsters always seem so patient. They smile, they wait, because they know the real damage happens long before they arrive. The town slowly destroys trust, hope, identity, until people become strangers to themselves. That changes the entire series. The monsters were never the real horror, they were only the distraction. The real horror was the town quietly turning ordinary people into exactly what it wanted them to become. Why it is far darker than you think. Every horror series asks, how do you survive the monster? Season 4 asks something much more disturbing: what happens after fear becomes part of who you are? That is why this story stays with people. It is not about supernatural creatures, it is about what endless fear does to ordinary human beings. Hope becomes dangerous, love becomes weakness, trust becomes impossible, every choice becomes another sacrifice. The town does not need to lock the gates, eventually people build their own prison inside their minds. That is the darkest idea season 4 quietly reveals. Ending: maybe we have been asking the wrong question since episode 1. The question was never who escapes, the real question is who is still the same person when this is over, because escaping the town means nothing if the town escapes with you. And that is why season 4 is not really a story about monsters, it is a story about fear, about identity, and about how the most terrifying place imaginable does not kill people first, it changes them. That is what makes From far darker than most viewers ever realized.